All right. Well, welcome everyone to Autonomy Quest. My name is Jesse Grenfell. I am a season 9 graduate. I am a mother, first and foremost, and a software development. I actually software developer, just started my own company. This will be company number 2 for me. So it's kind of good to be out and talking publicly since I'm trying to get back into all of that. But it's very nice to be here. And tonight, we're going to be learning a bit more about autonomy by interviewing Sarah Roman, another autonomy graduate. Um, so I will be talking to her, interviewing her, and then we'll open the floor up for people to ask any questions that they would like. And then at the end of the show, I also have some gifts for people, so stick around for that. And yeah, I guess if you're ready to go, Sarah. Why don't we get started?
All right.
And this will be good because I don't think you and I have really chatted much, so this will be I'll get to know you as well. So yeah, why don't you give like a brief introduction and yeah, then we'll get going from there.
Okay. Great. Thank you. Um, I'm happy to be here. This is one of the best things about autonomy is getting to practice. Um, being on camera, speaking about myself and interacting. And so I'm a season 8 graduate. So I've been hanging around for about 3.5 years. Um, I um I started at a time where my kids were going from being unschooled into public schools. And I couldn't figure out how I was going to make the time commitment that autonomy required. Um, but I also had a great sense of I need to do this. So how I learned about autonomy was from a graduate. I'm not sure what season she graduated, um, but I was telling her that I needed help getting my writing coaching business off the ground. That I'm also a mom. I have 3 kids, and I was trying to make money doing writing coaching, and I kept running into just not being profitable. And I was considering a coaching program that had one, that the person, the head coach, and then 5 or 6 women. And it was the same cost as autonomy. And when she's telling me about this conversation, she's like, "Oh, there's this thing you should try. Have you heard of Richard Grove?" And I hadn't, and which is surprising to me. But I realized when I watched the obstacle course that I had seen exactly one video on self-directed education where he came up, and I was like, "Oh, I do know this guy." Um, but I remember watching that video going, "Who is this guy?" Like I was already dialed into um, something about him really works, right? And I was 45 and I was struggling with being a mom and not having the life I wanted to have. And I decided to do an obstacle course race that year. And when this autonomy graduate said, at the time it was called the obstacle course, there's an obstacle course to go through. And I was like, oh, that's interesting because, I'm planning to go an obstacle course. And that little synchronicity was enough for me to like follow the trail of breadcrumbs. And I devoured it, just even from hearing Richard talk about um, education and its limits, right? And and what we're not taught and what we need to unlearn. And it was all parlance that I was already in from having my kids unschooled for so long. And so it was immediate. I knew immediately that this was going to be valuable for me. And I felt like I got value before the course even started. So that was really remarkable. And then once the course got started, it was like people say, drinking from a fire hose, just to keep up with the amount of content per week. I was listening to recordings during the week as I was driving my kids back and forth to things. Like I couldn't sit down for a lecture most weeks. So I would get them in bits and pieces, and then I would show up for the Q&A. And that's how it worked for me, was that's how I was able to get in all of the material. And it's been wonderful, honestly. I mean, it's one of my favorite things. And I think the amount of time I spend on social media decreased by 95% once I joined autonomy, because I'd much rather look around, see what people are doing in autonomy than Facebook.
Yep, I know exactly what you mean. I had a few similarities in my journey here. So you came in knowing what you were kind of aiming at. You knew what your dream was, but you were having trouble kind of on the marketing and the sales side of it. So can you talk a little bit about how autonomy kind of moved you forward towards that?
Yeah, for sure. Well, the first thing I did was I took one of my offers, which is writing sessions, and I brought it to autonomy, and I was offering it regularly. So I got to see all kinds of things, like um what kind of people showed up for it, how people put effort in or didn't put effort in, um how my talking about it um has, affects whether or not people show up. And um I didn't in one lecture, and I don't remember which one, Richard said something about, that something, it made me really think about whether or not um I was on the right track. And it was that, if you're having trouble selling something, are you passionate, maybe you're not passionate enough about it. And I was like, maybe I'm not passionate enough about this. And I really had a moment of clarity where I got that I don't want to just help anybody. I don't want to just help like whoever, wherever, um, in the general public. I want to help people who are up to something, people who are into uplifting all of us, right? And people who are inspiring us and teaching us and showing us a way that's more positive and constructive than what we see. And um, so I started honing in on, wow, I don't want to help everybody. I want to help healers. I want to help people who are endorse critical thinking and people who do their research. And so right away I got a sense that there's more to marketing than I know. And then regarding sales, I had major breakthrough in sales in this coursework. I think like when we got to the week where we did sales and we started sales exercises, what it blew my mind. And again, at that point, I had another one of those, wow, I've gotten my money's worth already. And this, I don't even remember what week that is. Is it week 6 or 7? I was like, you know, uh, wow. I and now when we have sales training exercises, I I attended a sales training where, Richard was involved, and I got amazing feedback. And again, it was one of those things where I'm like, I can't pay for this sales training. Like I wouldn't be able to just find it online and go. You know what I mean? So um I've really had a re-education both in marketing and in sales, and seeing sales as being of service to people, and how can I be of service, as opposed to my prior attitude. And I do have a background in customer service, as well as teaching, but I don't look at sales the same way anymore. I don't have the same forceful feeling about it. I can see like I'm actually offering a service.
Yep. Yeah. I had kind of a similar revelation. I came in thinking I wasn't good at sales, and then I realized it's more that kind of traditional or unsavory view of sales that I just didn't want to identify with. But when you frame it the way that Richard does of being like ethical sales, that kind of like turns it around. Like you know it's not it doesn't have to be something underhanded or like you're pushing anybody in, right? It's you're serving a need and trying to actually help people out. So all of those things kind of come together for you. Where are you at now in your offering?
So it's interesting. My offering is the same. but the things that have changed are I've narrowed down my offerings. I used to have like multiple ghostwriting services, multiple like copywriting, and I'm not a copywriter. I'm, um, I'm more of a coach and a consultant, but and I can also be an editor. But my offerings narrowed down, and also I now charge for my offerings, which I didn't when I was not when I first started. I was like, oh, it's just time for people to write, and I discounted myself and the value of what I was offering. And that's changed. I mean, now I won't, now I'm offering it for a price. And it's taken me a long time. It just took me a long time to get there to the point of complete decision that, I'm offering something of value and this is what it is. And these are the people I want to work with, and these are the people that I do not want to work with. So I've had a lot more clarity, and also just by participating in autonomy and groups and offerings that other people in autonomy have, I've gotten more and more feedback on the value of what I provide. And I've also gotten the opportunity to exchange with other people for services. And, so the places that I still need to work are in leading virtual groups, um, vlogging. I don't have any vlogging experience yet. I want to do it live. I haven't hosted that yet. Like I have a bucket list for autonomy, really.
Yeah.
Um,
Well, that's what part of why it's nice that you can always come back in and jump back into those things. Because yeah, I feel like every season I'm able to kind of take advantage of something a little bit different when I have enough time to. So I definitely relate to that. Um, so can you like pinpoint like any particular like sales or marketing skills that you picked up during the course?
um, well, regarding sales, I guess there's confidence. And like that's not a, I guess that's a soft skill, right? But that's probably the number one thing that changed for me was when I realized that it wasn't a hard sell, and it wasn't like a must sell. It was a mindset shift of like, can I be of service to this person in giving them, access to this product, as opposed to, again, like, I have to sell this, or, I have to close the deal. I have to close it. I have to close it. So that's more of a soft skill, but it was also exactly what I needed. So it's a lot easier for me to discuss my offering with people than previously. And I don't have a sense of like, it's not enough anymore. Um, so in terms of sales, I would say confidence. Having the actual blueprint that we get for sales calls, super helpful. Um, I did practice multiple times with that um with that blueprint, and it makes it very easy. And it takes the thinking, the hard thinking out of it, of like, oh, how is this call going to go? I can't tell you how many times I had blueprint calls or discovery calls um prior to autonomy where I had no idea what I was doing other than seeing if the person wanted to buy my thing. And um and it wasn't working, right? So um actually having the blueprint, and then and having the mindset shift, both have made sales a lot easier.
Yeah. And yeah, I mean, even beyond easier, that people pick up on that confidence, like that in and of itself kind of sells you. And I mean, that is what you're selling is yourself and your services. So I'm sure that kind of reflects back at you with how people are responding to being in those conversations, having that confidence going in. Um, can you describe a little bit like what your experience with the autonomy community has been?
Yeah, it's been great. I It's been totally great. I don't think No, I haven't had any interaction with anybody that I've been like, oh, that sucked. It's just, I've not had that experience at all. I've learned so much from other people. I mean, every conversation I've had with somebody else, we find our commonalities, we see what we're up to. Um, I've gotten so much valuable feedback um, from people showing up to my offerings and just being curious and open. Um, it's been really amazing for me. Prior to um, prior to COVID, I was moving from one state to another, so my literal community was changing, and I just had my interests. Like I'm bringing my interests with me wherever I go, and I was already leading virtual writing groups, so I had a sense of virtual community. But it wasn't until I popped in to the autonomy community, I was excited and elated. Like here are so many people that are critical thinkers. Here are so many people who believe in freedom, and that this is our inalienable right, that here are so many people who want to be excellent to each other. And it was totally refreshing, right? And then it was like in the midst of COVID, like I don't know how it was for you. For me, it was a lot of, wow, I need to not be on social media. There's a lot of vitriol. Wow, I need to not interact with these people because there's a lot of vitriol. And like, um, so it was really a breath of fresh air. And again, since season 8, I've gotten something every season. Like this past season, I got to participate in Mike Nimitz's course and that he offered after. And I wished I had it like right away after season 8, after I finished his ethical emergence. I was like, oh man, this would have been great immediately after I finished my season. Um, you know, so for me, the community um, has probably been my favorite part. Um, that I mean, it's not that the lectures aren't the favorite part. It's that now post, you know, I guess what we're 6 seasons later, um, it's the people and the fact that we're growing and we're sharing conversations. It's just, to me, it's my favorite part. And again, like I said, it replaces all other social media for me. 95% of it.
Yeah, that's very similar for me. I was very active on Twitter, as it were, then before here. Now that I have this community, it's much less so. And yeah, it's kind of a safe space where I know I can come and you may not always agree with everybody, but everybody's going to be open and kind, and yeah, it's a great space. You mentioned you weren't familiar with Rich before joining. What was it like working with him?
Um, yeah, I didn't know who he was. I had heard of Mark Passio, but I wasn't, following anything about him. I was in the crunchy mom mindset, and unschooling my kids mindset. And wouldn't it be great to be a homesteader someday? And we were living in a 1 bedroom apartment in Brooklyn, and I was just not aligned, right? So um when I saw who Richard Grove was and like what he was about, I was just like, whoa, look at this guy. I was really blown away. Like at how articulate he was, at how well researched he was. Um, just the way that he was emphasizing that critical thinking, you know, um, and I have a background in rhetoric from an academic standpoint, and is being able to see the trivium applied to applicable to everyday life in this day and age is fantastic. And um you know i I really I really admire him, I guess, is what I would say. And that um I had never listened to Grand Theft World until after I was introduced to autonomy. right? So I found out while I was in autonomy that he's got this other thing, and I'm like, oh my gosh. Um, so it was a lot of discovery that way. So I guess in some way I'm not like his usual audience, right? But but I am, you know.
Yeah. Yeah, yeah. Right mindset. Yeah, everybody finds their way in a little bit differently. Um, so with this season that's just starting right now, are you participating in anything? Is there anything you're looking forward to revisiting in the lectures or activities you've got planned?
I think I haven't been listening to the lectures yet. But I do think I'm going to revisit the sales um, because it was so valuable to me the first time I heard it and the first time I got to practice sales conversations. Um, and I'm getting out there again. Like today I had a call with um, someone who leads senior centers and they want to do a writing course for seniors, a virtual writing course. And so I met with them and I used the interview format, basically that I got from autonomy to be on that call. So I wasn't uptight, I wasn't anxious, I wasn't I don't know, I was completely relaxed about it. And they thanked me after that call for all the ideas I got to share with them. And I was like, it's totally amazing. But that thing about, when you're feeling anxious and fearful and you show up to something, um, you're not able to give, right?
Yeah,
So it's the
your
same
day's going
thing,
the wrong way.
same thing with the sales calls. So I am looking forward to that part this season. And as I said, I the other places I have for growth, like I want to do it live. I want to practice, giving a presentation, being on camera and having my audio, having all the stuff. And and I want to practice vlogging. So I still have a lot to do.
Yeah, yeah, there's always more to do. For the do it live, would you do like a writing coaching or something different?
I don't know. That's the thing, I have a lot of interests. I mean, primarily writing, healing, and entrepreneurship. And I'm studying shamanism right now, and I'm in a 2-year program, and I'm about 9 months in. Um, and I see, and the things that are coming up for me are actually mystical, like Christian mysticism, and I see intersections with other people's work all the time. And I so in some capacity I feel like, there's really important stuff there, but I'm not quite ready to lead it. Things like uh, you know, meditation exercises or guided journeys, or ways that you like if you lose your shit, that you can just recollect yourself in the moment, actual tools for living on a daily basis. Um, so I those are things that I rely on just for my own mental health. So I would like to share those, but I'm not sure if I would do it live on that or on the writing, because the writing I'm also passionate about, like I'm especially if you have something that you feel compelled to share, you know like
Yeah.
I'm not a fiction writer. I predominantly write nonfiction myself. I like to write about healing modalities and things that people don't know about, and that's the kind of writing that I really love to help people with, right? So if you're writing your essays, you're writing your blogs, you're writing a book chapter, um or you're writing something that's most people don't know about, that's real life, you know um so I don't know what I would do yet, but it's going to be one of those two. It's either healing or writing.
Yeah, makes sense. And I'll say if you want to like a step down from going fully public, Toastmasters is a good another kind of good forum if you do want to do a presentation in more closed circle. That's an option too that I've gone to. Actually, I have to get back into that. Um, so yeah, so I think that was actually the questions I had for you today, which means we are going to open it up to the group and see if anybody here has any questions for Sarah in particular, but myself as well, I guess. Anybody have anything about autonomy, about us?
I just have a comment that it's a ton of toasters, not Toastmasters.
Sorry, sorry.
Of the official. Well, no, it's not about that. It's just we're not part of the official organization for
Oh,
Toastmasters.
I see. Yeah, gotcha. A ton of
But yeah,
toasters.
essentially, it's a public speaking club.
Yeah, that's been on my list. It's like one of those, like, I want to do this. It's been on my list for a long time.
It's early. It's on Mondays now, and it's earlier. I think it's 5 Eastern. Let me just double check.
Yeah, I'll have to make sure I sign up for that. So I'd like to get back. Well,
It's 6 p.m. Eastern on Mondays,
okay.
just
So
before the
it's
women's
free.
club or the men's club, depending which one you are.
You came on camera, Mike. Are you?
Yes, can you hear me?
Yeah.
All right, wonderful. Well, I was going to say you didn't do it live, but you did do a center stage, and that
Did.
appearance was pretty damn good. I really feel like as far as my journey towards becoming a writer really took a leap on that particular episode. So, maybe that's something as far as the subject matter. Uh, I think that was really good. You kind of took us through a couple exercises on just, developing our own reasoning for why we write. And I think that was excellent.
I have the recording. I should go back and watch it. I meant to bring it up. I forgot that that was something I wanted to bring up. So thank you. Yeah, that was an opportunity to really put together a presentation about, about writing in particular. Um, yeah, I do.
So,
I mean, there's always, like this is the way we tell stories, right? I mean, it's either what stories do we have to tell? Or are we compelled to tell? Um, I love writing just for self-expression, but I also know that, when I have to write something, like it really helps to already have the tools, to already have the time set aside, it makes it so much easier.
We've talked about this privately, I guess, but maybe this is an opportunity to talk about it in front of other people. But there's a lot of people in autonomy that have, talent and experience, and more than likely good stories that they could tell. And I know this has been talked about a number of times, but kind of creating a publishing company for people to just take their stories and put them into a published format is something that I think if it was easy to do and we had a number of examples, I think it would be something that a lot more people would participate in. And I think it would create, kind of a notching up effect of credibility for, a lot of people when it comes to, their belief in themselves about their expertise and abilities. I think if you say, I'm an author, it does kind of take you to a different level, when it comes to like people's acceptance of, your point of view, your opinion, your expertise, and listening to you. But I would definitely encourage people to check out the writing sessions. I am a devoted fan, and I do feel like it's a very subtle thing. It's just something that if you dedicate yourself to doing, practicing, making the time to practice, and sometimes it's difficult when you do it on your own, but when you do it with other people, it becomes just a little bit more doable. And if you continue to do that, I can certainly attest to my progress.
I like that publishing idea. I'd be you pull me into that if that ever does start coming to fruition. I can maybe help out on the software side.
Yeah, let's do it. Another collaboration.
Yeah.
I'd totally be there. I would love to help. I mean, in terms of, also the fact that there's so many people in autonomy who have so much to offer. It's like if it was easy, it would just be like this, you know?
You know what? That's my epiphany. Just suddenly I realized. And autonomy is always growing. And it's growing because of the hearts and souls that come here and express their creativity. And autonomy becomes what the community brings to it. And I think that it's just sort of like just impressing upon me that, you know, it's made up of everyone here, not just Richard's lectures, not what just, what the course is, but what everybody contributes and how they grow within that and how they interact and make that offer to others. And it's pretty yeah, it's pretty significant, I think. Very significant part of autonomy is that, the members are the heart and soul of the community, and they, you guys, like, the more brilliant people I have together in one room, the more apparent it is. Right? And, two people who have never really had a conversation before, who've both gone through autonomy, just made it look like it was nothing, you know? And it was brilliant. It was really brilliant. So yeah, I just had to chime in on that. Oh, and let's end 10 minutes early tonight to go over to the lecture, by the way. It is Friday night and we are in season. So I wanted to just toss that out there. And Sarah, do you know how many people talk about you in a good way? All the time. I mean, I don't think it's nonstop. I hear Sarah Roman, Sarah Roman, Sarah Roman. People love you and what you do, just so you know. If you didn't hear it, you heard it tonight.
Thank you. I really appreciate that.
Cool.
Yeah, it really is all about the community. That was a big part of why I joined. I wanted a little help with the sales side of things, which I realized I didn't need as much as I thought. But the community was huge, and it's a great group. What's the word, Agnieszka? Egregor, the autonomy egregor. It's just getting
That's
bigger
the
and stronger.
word. That's the word. Because an egregor is not just something that you happen upon, it's something that you can actually consciously build, just like your own neural linguistics. Hey, Laura.
Sarah, hello. Greetings and salutations. Are you still in Brooklyn?
No, I'm in Jersey now. I'm in Hunterdon County.
Okay. I'm in New York City, and I don't know how far Hunterdon is. I would check, but I am in touch with people who are close by, and when we get a chance to see each other, we do. And I regret having never had a chance to talk to you or know anything about you. So thank you for tonight. And maybe I could hit you up for some sort of
Yeah,
virtual meeting.
please do. I would love to have an in-person with somebody from autonomy
Yeah. Where were you when you were in Brooklyn?
in Bay Ridge.
Gosh. I was born and raised in Gravesend, and I now I'm in the Bronx. I'm technically the most northern tip of Manhattan, which is now part of the landmass of the Bronx, but the river was rerouted 100 years ago, whatever. But yeah, I'm gonna check and see where you're at.
Yeah,
And learn
please
more about
message,
you. Thank you.
message me. That would be so great just to connect.
Yes. very much. I heard Brooklyn, and I don't know how much I heard after that. Thank you.
Thanks.
Hey,
So,
guys.
oh, go ahead.
Just
Sarah, I
saying.
was gonna, oh, you done? Sarah, I was gonna, one thing that really stuck with me that you mentioned was, you worked with English as a second language students, and you talked about the lessons that you learned from that. Would you mind repeating that story for us? Because I think it really speaks to the talent that you have, the way you look at things, and the way that you really don't necessarily worry about many of the things that people worry about when it comes to writing or like grammar and punctuation and those kind of things.
Yeah. Um, so I was kind of snobby. I was snobby, and pretentious about grammar usage, about spelling, all through high school, all through college. It was in graduate school where I got a teaching assistantship to go to graduate school. And part of my commitment was I had to teach, or I had to be available in the tutoring center. And that was my introduction to working side by side with people on their writing. And I started to see discrepancies between people who were writing with English as their second language and the native speakers. And when I say discrepancies in the writing, I'm not talking about spelling errors or the uses of a and the changes, the things that I saw that were different were how the ideas of the people, the non-native speakers, how their ideas had more velocity, how their ideas had more clarity. So there would be missing articles, there would be spelling mistakes, whatever, but the ideas were powerful. So the actual writing would tend to be fewer words and again, missing words. But I understood that when somebody else is acquiring English and putting it into words to make an argument for a paper, for a grade, that the ESL writers did so much better. I tutored college athletes. I tutored kids who were in a developmental class, all native speakers, all the way up through graduate school and people working on their dissertations. So, but it was pretty consistent. Like there was here and there, like really good writing that somebody put their time into and they didn't really need to even be there, but they were just getting like a bonus. I want another set of eyes on my paper. But that's not what I'm talking about. In general, just having the onus of having to learn another language to express themselves in, that their writing had more velocity, more power, more clarity. And so that really shifted for me out of my perfectionist, they're not spelling it right. They're not, the grammar's not there. I really just dropped the perfectionism when I saw like these kids who are first generation or visiting students from other countries, like it really just decimated all my pretension. So that's kind of been that's like that's the foundational experience for me. And when people are writing, it doesn't matter if you're not writing perfectly. It doesn't matter if the spelling is perfect, the grammar is perfect. The grammar isn't just like the subject object, and the cases and all of this and the tenses. It's more ideas. What are your ideas? This is the grammar that matters, is what your ideas are. And not to get caught up in all of that other little stuff. And it doesn't need to be completely perfectly executed. So thank you. Thanks for asking.
That was kind of a recurring theme, I think, throughout your what you went through tonight was that like shift of perception. Like your goal didn't really change. You're still really on the same path as before, but just this kind of your perception of things changed, and like the difference that that can make. And I feel like that's a very common recurring theme in autonomy and the people that come through is that experience. We have a few minutes, probably time for another question if anybody had anything else or comment that anybody wanted to make. Otherwise, I'll tell you a bit about the enrollment process. So for people who are considering joining, Autonomy Quest is to help you make an informed decision and see if it's right for you. So you're always welcome to come back and hear more. If you are ready to go on to the next step, that will be having a blueprint call. So that's something you can schedule on the Autonomy website, and that will be with an Autonomy graduate who can kind of talk things through, understand what your plans are, what's holding you up, where you're getting stuck, and see if Autonomy is a good fit for you. And if so, you will receive an offer to join Autonomy. And then you can join and get connected with the community and get started. So, um, we have some free gifts for you that will be going into the chat here. Um, and the links will also those will be links that will be in the chat, and those will also be available in your account when you signed up for Autonomy Quest. You'll be able to get those there as well. And we're certainly hoping that you come back and visit us again if you have any more questions. And thank you for taking the time to join us tonight. I enjoyed doing this. It was nice getting to know Sarah, and it's always good to come back and connect with the autonomy community.
Thank you, Jesse. It was
Thank
great.
you.
Good fun.
God bless you.
Thank you. All right. And then some of us will be off to the lecture.
You guys were brilliant, and thank you everyone that contributed. You guys were really amazing. Nice work. Thank you.
Thank you.
All right.
All
Have a
right,
good
guys.
night.
Yeah, good night. We have a lecture starting, so we can jump over there and get connected, and I will see you over there.
Sounds good.
Awesome. Nice
See you
meeting you,
soon.
James. See you guys.
Bye.
Good night,
Bye.
everybody,
Thank
or
you.
wherever you are. Enjoy the lecture.